Right, I believe I should be live. Okay. Once again, what's going on, everybody? What's going on? Those of you joining me live here tonight on YouTube, welcome to another live stream. All right. And so I'm going to be talking about my recent experience in Costa Rica. Okay. So that's going to be the topic of this conversation. I actually just made it back to the US today, this afternoon. Okay, so I made it back. Listen, it was an interesting flight, but to say the least, we made it safe. And so we give all praises to the Most High in allowing us to be able to land back safely. Okay, and so as you can see, the title of this episode, my thoughts and experience of my Costa Rica trip. And so I didn't go all over Costa Rica. I mainly focused on San Jose, San Pedro area. Okay. And so I'm going to talk about my experiences while I was out there in Costa Rica. And because I know a lot of people have been to Costa Rica, some people are hoping to go and never been. And so I'm going to share my experiences in relation to what I've seen, and maybe that will be some help to some people who may want to hopefully go, and of course that may help them throughout their navigations. Okay, and so those of you that are on, if you're able to hear me, let me know that you're able to hear the live stream. Okay, before I continue on. So I just want to know that y'all are able to hear me well and that the sound is coming out good, okay? And so just let me know. All right, perfect. And so we have good sound. Sounds pretty good. By the way, those of you who are coming into the live stream, give this video a thumbs up. I think I'm going to fix the camera a little bit. Let me see if I can show. Let me see, because I have a lot of headroom. So I'm going to kind of bring it down a little bit. Hopefully it doesn't mess up too much. I'm going to bring it down just a notch. All right. Let's see. Okay, I think just about right here. All right, I think that, let me see how that looks. All right, so yeah, you're able to see more of the bed and everything like that. So, all right, so I had a very late night yesterday in Costa Rica. And so I woke up very early. I had an early flight. I was actually the last one on board. I was the last one who actually came on board on this particular flight. Okay. But nevertheless, we made it out. So that was good. Okay. So I have a few items here that I want to talk about during this trip to Costa Rica. And so that was actually my first time out in Costa Rica. I didn't really know what to expect as far as, just what to expect, because once again, it's my first time out there. And so I didn't really have any connections in Costa Rica. I just chose to go. I actually had two places on my bucket list that, let me see, let me see how this sounds. All right, so hopefully the sound is not like too crazy, but Okay. So I actually had two spots that I wanted to check out in Central America, mainly Costa Rica and Belize. They were like my main areas that I wanted to check out, but I ended up going to Costa Rica. And so that was my first time out there. Didn't really know what to expect. But once again, when I got out there, I don't know if I shared this on my first video that I published when I first got there, but I'm just going to share it again for the record if I did or not. The airport, of course, very small, but there's a lot that you can find at the airport, but very small airport coming into Costa Rica. And so lots of mountains, lots of trees. You know, Costa Rica is a very beautiful country with a lot of green, beautiful scenery. And so that was one of the things that I realized about Costa Rica is that they really take care of the environment. And so you didn't really see too many bare spots. If it didn't have a concrete building on it, best believe there were trees. And so everywhere was like that. And so it's literally a city inside of a forest. And you can see that they really try everything in order to maintain it, in order to upkeep that particular structure in the way that it is. All right. And so nature is really all around. It doesn't matter if you like, I mean, I didn't get to go into like the deeper parts because, like I said, the main focus of this particular trip, I wanted to stay in San Jose, San Pedro area to really just search out the areas and find some of the main attraction places and capture content, you know, meet a lot of people and really get to experience San Jose, San Pedro for what it really is. And so next time, of course, when I go, I'm probably going to go into a different area and really just stay there. Sometimes a lot of people, they may come to a particular country and they just kind of run through it without having to really go into a particular area and really experience it. And so for me, I didn't just want to like come into Costa Rica and then just run all over, you know, but I wanted to come into Costa Rica, sit in San Jose, San Pedro, experience everything that I want to experience in that particular city, and then be able to continue instead of, you know, just ripping and running through, going to all these different places and not really get to know the area for what the area is worth. And so I spent about 2 weeks out there in Costa Rica. And so that particular time, I would say that it was time well spent. And so the beginning portion, I didn't really know the terrain like that. I didn't really know how to maneuver. And so I was kind of hesitant. I was only kind of staying close. I wasn't really walking in the streets like that. But I would say once I was about maybe 2 days in, 3 days, about 4 days in, I was really moving around and really getting to know uh, the region for what it really is. Okay. And so one of the first things I realized is that there's like two main ways that people, well, actually three main ways that people travel in Costa Rica. One of the first is Uber. Okay, so Uber is very popular. I mean, I would say Uber is probably just as popular in Costa Rica as it is in the US. And I would say that Uber is probably more popular in Costa Rica because they don't have like competition like Lyft. In the US, you have Lyft and you have Uber. But over there, there's the regular taxi, which is like the manual with the meter, and they just kind of bill you as the meter runs, which I think is probably more expensive than Uber, at least from what I've seen, because I took one and that meter was running up. And so, but Uber is relatively cheap. Let's say, for example, you go into maybe like a 5 mile, 5 mile radius, 3 mile radius. Let me just say about 3 miles radius. You're looking at maybe about $5, $7, somewhere around there, $5. And so sometimes it could be $4, depending on the time of the day. And so the rush hours, it tend to go up, but not extensively. And everything is relatively close by. And so, so taking an Uber is definitely one of the ways to get around. And so I took Uber probably almost every day, staying over there. Okay. And so, so you have Uber, which is like the main transit. And for someone who is traveling out, who is not from Costa Rica, going into Costa Rica, if you want to travel, I would say Uber. It's a lot more, I would say, safer in that sense. And I'm gonna kind of talk about the whole safety thing as well. Okay, I'm gonna talk about it. Okay, in relation to Costa Rica, but one of the safest ways is take an Uber, and then of course you have your regular taxis. Now, if you speak Spanish already, that's definitely a plus, and so you can kind of already know how to maneuver based on language, based on conversation. You can already understand your whereabouts based on the signs and different things like that. But let's say someone who is not from that particular area, and they want to travel, I would definitely say Uber is one of the main ways to actually go about that. All right. And so, and then you have also the buses. Now, with the bus, they tend to kind of have like short stops in the city, and then they have long range bus that travels across the country. Okay, and so that's one of the ways that you can go remote. Let's say you want to come into Costa Rica and you want to go from, let's say, San Jose to Puerto Viejo, which is like going east, like southeast. You can take a bus and it'll take you straight over there, one long shot. All right. Or let's say you want to run around the city on a particular block, like you just from one end to the next, you can also take a bus, and they just make like short stops. And those short stops are in front of like major markets and stuff like that where you can maneuver. Now, me personally, I don't like the big bus. I never took one because I don't like being in this cluster. I mean, for the sake of experience, next time when I do go, I might probably take a long bus and just go straight across, since I've already experienced San Jose. But for the most part, I was mainly walking. As soon as I take my Uber going to the main area where I wanted to go, I just walked everywhere once I figured it out. And I figured out the city. I knew what was happening in different areas. I mean, in a matter of a few days, I felt like I was already being acclimated into the lifestyle in Costa Rica. Okay. And so, um, these few days that I spent in Costa Rica, I visit like many different places. One of which is the museum. It's called the Gold Museum. Now, I'm going to make a specific episode just on the Gold Museum itself. Okay, the historical Gold Museum in Costa Rica, because the Gold Museum is supposed to talk about the prehistoric, pre-Columbian era of the indigenous people that were living um, on the land. Okay. And so when I first got into the museum, because from what they're selling is that they call it prehistoric gold museum. So pre-Columbian gold museum. So since this museum is pre-Columbian, meaning it is not, they're not going to talk about um, colonization. Okay, they're gonna give you all the history before colonization. So I thought, so then when I went inside the museum, it was like they were building up the suspense because they have the top level, which they cover economics, they cover like the history of the Costa Rican economy. Okay, so inside the museum, so it's 3 levels. You have the top level, and then you have the ground, and then I think there's another one underneath that. Okay, so the last ground part, they have the different gold, the different elements. They also talk about the different animals and their relation to indigenous culture and what those particular animals meant. They talk about um, different elements like the clay and the significance of those things. There are a lot of principles that I had already understood, okay, that when I went into the museum, it really confirmed to me even more as to what I had already understood from the beginning. And so me visiting the indigenous museum, which I feel like once again the story is not being told the way that it really happened. Okay. But for the sake of argument, from what I've read and seen, it definitely confirmed a lot of principles that I had already understood from the beginning. And so it really confirmed to me how many stories that you get from different indigenous tribes, many stories that you get from different nations and countries, these stories correlate, and they all part of the threading of the entire scope of what we will call creation, what we will call the beginning of life, what we will call even the understanding of life. Okay. And so visiting that museum definitely opened up different um, principles within my framework. All right. And so that was one of the main spots that really put like a very imprint within my mind, was visiting that area. And then all throughout the streets in the evenings, they had concerts. Like one evening I was just walking, and then I came up across this concert. Okay, it's like an open square park, and the band was just playing, and so I ended up participating, take some videos, take some footage. And so I have all these footage that hopefully I'll be able to edit and put into some type of meaningful content that can make sense to a lot of people. All right. And then, of course, the restaurants. Now, I remember the very first video I published while in Costa Rica. I made that video. I think that was like maybe my second or third day in Costa Rica. I made that video. And I talked about in that video how the food wasn't that good, because I went to like maybe 2 or 3 restaurants. Give me just a second, you all. I'm getting a call. Hey, what's going on? Yeah, can you hear me? Okay, so I think I should be back. All right, so I am back. All right, y'all. So what was I talking about? I was talking about what was I talking about? Listen, y'all, it's been a long day. It's been a long day, okay? But guess what? I wanted to make sure I do this episode here tonight. All right. We're talking about the food. Okay, we're talking about the food. By the way, those of you who are watching, if you're able to follow through, just put a thumbs up in the chat room. Put a thumbs up in the chat. Okay, so with the food, I remember making that very first episode, and yeah, when I made that episode, I was talking about the fact that the food wasn't that good. Okay, because I went to maybe like I went to the first restaurant I went to, it was like kind of like a junk food. Now, let me give context because some people who might be watching this may be saying, well, with all the restaurants, so how come the food wasn't that good? Well, that's because I eat a particular way, which is plant-based. Okay, so I eat more, and I'm not just gonna say plant-based, but more so conscious, right? Conscious. I do not consume um, flesh, like as far as animal byproduct, and also processed foods. And so the restaurant that I went to, it was like a lot of processed food. And so I didn't really like it. So then the following day, once again, that was like a back to back, okay? So the first restaurant that I went to, it wasn't that good. So the next day, I took an Uber to the main center because it was my second day that I went to the museum. Okay. So I think, okay, I might be getting the days confused. All right. But I know I took the Uber to the center. Once the Uber dropped me off, I had some activities going on like in the center part. And then there was like a long strip because I was looking for different vegan restaurants. So I found this Thai restaurant and I went in there. So I asked him, well, what's available? He was like, well, there's this noodle that's available. I was like, okay, since I'm already hungry, I've been out all day and I walked like probably a mile, maybe about a mile to get to that particular part. It could have been longer because I feel like I was walking like all day. But I can walk though. Like if y'all see my sandals, I actually bought like some sandals. For the most part during the day when I was walking, I was wearing my sandals, my regular linen pants and my cotton shirts, just hey. Let's enjoy the vibe. Listen, let's enjoy the vibe. Okay? And so I was really free in Costa Rica. I was like, listen, it's definitely a good vibe. And I'm gonna talk about the energy just in a few, okay? And so I walked like maybe a few miles to the Thai restaurant. I got there. The guy, he greeted me. I greeted him. He had his worker working in the kitchen. It's like you can see everything. It's kind of like a Chipotle style where you can kind of see everything in real time, somewhat. And so he brought the noodles out. I took a bite in that noodle. That noodle was cold. It was bland. I was like, nah, that's not it. But guess what? I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to pay for it. I might as well. So I ate it, but I didn't finish it. Okay. And so I ate all the veggies because I told him, I said, put more veggies. So I ate all the veggies, like he had like some green beans in there, like some string beans, different things like that. And so I ate all the veggies. It was like a vegetable noodle type. And so that was it. And then, so those first two restaurants. So my first episode of Costa Rica, I made that episode on my experience at 2 or 3 different restaurants. Okay. So yeah, the third restaurant. Okay. Listen, y'all, it was like back to back. Cause after I had that experience at the Thai restaurant, and then the following day, because I mainly ate like once a day. So most of my meals I only ate like in the afternoon time. Cause I wasn't going to be like chugging down like 2, 3 meals a day. Okay. And so I only ate one meal a day. I went out probably at times toward the end. I started going out like twice a day, but for the most part, I will only go out once a day. So as soon as like maybe like around 4:30, 5 o'clock, I went out. So during my early part of my trip, I will only go out early during the day because I wanted to get to know the streets. So I would go out like around 10 o'clock, 10 a.m., 12 a.m., 12 p.m., those times. And so later on, when I really got to know the streets, then I started going out in the afternoon times to kind of get like a different feel. So I got to know the day vibe, but then later on, I got to know the night vibe or the evening vibes. And so my third experience, I went to this restaurant. Like this restaurant is supposed to be like an Indian restaurant, right? Now, by the way, those of you who are coming into the live stream, listen, I'm gonna ask that you like this video. Okay, like the video, share it. This is more, like I said, a more home space. Right now, I'm in my Airbnb. Currently in Florida. I just made it back to Florida this afternoon, and so from Costa Rica. And so I didn't want to, I have like a very early day tomorrow. When I say very early, I mean like very early day tomorrow. So I said, you know what? Even though I had a late night last night, I had a very turbulent flight today. Not only that, when I got here, and then I had to kind of get fixed up, shower. I was real hungry because all I ate the whole day was, when I was at the airport, I bought me a big bag of potato chips, the non-GMO potato chips. I think it's like 2 ingredients, potato chips and vegetable oil, something like that. Well, guess what? That's the best they had. Who cares? All right. I had me a big bag of those. And then when I was inside the airplane, I had 2 small bags of plantain chips. Listen, that was my meal all the way up until 10 o'clock tonight. 10:30, something like that. So when I got here, I'm going to tell you what happened, right? So I'm going to take a pause on Costa Rica real quick. Let me bring it back. I'm going to tell you what happened. When I got here, like maybe around like 6:30, something like that, almost 7, got cleaned up. I got on my app for Uber Eats. So Uber Eats I ordered the first time. The order was supposed to come at the latest 9:15. Okay? The order didn't come. For some reason, two separate people went to pick it up, nothing happens. So they canceled my order completely. Then I had to reorder from this other place, which took like another hour. So I didn't really eat until maybe 11 o'clock. I'm gonna tell y'all. I'm gonna tell you exactly. Yeah, I didn't eat until probably about 11 o'clock. Okay. And so now I said, you know what? I'm not going to just eat and not do this live stream because tomorrow early I have to be able to get back to work. So we're gonna get back on the road again, getting to work. And so tonight I wanted to make this video for you. All right. And so once again, the food, my first 3 spots in Costa Rica was not hitting. Okay. That was this place called Indian Palace. If you go to Indian Palace in Costa Rica, you're not getting Indian food. They don't have Indian food. At least when I went, I didn't get served Indian food. That one Thai restaurant was not a hit. And Mr. Veggies is good. I would say Mr. Veggies, even though they have like certain junk food, it's good because I got to meet the owner. Some of the owners, it's great vibes. They really take care of you. I like the different juices they have. They have hibiscus. They have all natural juices. Definitely, it's a good spot. And then you have Cafe Rojo, which is another plant-based spot. Cafe Rojo. That one is more so like a Asian type. They serve a lot of mushrooms, a lot of sushi rolls type. It's like vegetarian restaurant. If you want a spot where you can go eat at every day, that's not it. They literally only had 2 options on the menu that I could eat from. It's one of those meals that you have like once a month, once a year. So Cafe Rojo is decent, but maybe once in a lifetime, once in a blue moon, if you would. But I did eat there like twice. I did eat at Cafe Rojo twice, okay? I'm gonna give you that. I felt I had no option one time because one of the restaurants I generally go to was closed. And so Cafe Rojo was like the next best thing. So it is what it is. Okay. And then what other spots I went to? Cafe Rojo, Guacamole, I think. There's another spot called Guacamole. I don't remember anything from that place. But I remember seeing it on the map. I think I went there, but I don't remember exactly if I went there or not. Because I had a lot of experiences in Costa Rica. I don't remember if I went to Guacamole. And then I think I went there. But I don't know. Maybe there wasn't nothing special about it that stood out. Maybe that's why. It kind of got stuck in between somewhere. Okay. But the best restaurant in San Jose, San Pedro is a vegan restaurant called Herbujo. Okay. Herbujo, or they call it Bujo Cafe Sana. Okay. So it's all about health and wellness at Herbujo. That was like my main spot. Because 1, it wasn't expensive. Number 2, they had like a big menu. Like you can literally eat something different. And so that was like one of the best spots. If you're someone who is like a stickler for quality and still have good taste, definitely, excuse me, definitely El Bujo is one of the places that you want to check out if you're in Costa Rica. So the restaurant scene, I would say, is great because you have a lot of variety for different taste buds. Eventually, I feel like I have found my taste buds, what I like, and I kind of stuck to it, and we just kept it on. And so now, as far as like the people, the energy, like just the vibe in Costa Rica, I'll say it's definitely great vibes. Now, do I see myself living in Costa Rica? Mm, that's on the low end of the spectrum, like very low. Like I don't see myself living in Costa Rica, and I have like my reasons for that, and I haven't gotten to like the main reasons for it. It's not necessarily because of like the food, because the food is only what you make it. So you can get raw elements, raw ingredients, and make your own food. Okay, so um, but it's just like I said, it's a lot of different components, especially when it comes to just the ideologies to a certain degree. But as far as like the energy, the people, great vibes. Like you can literally walk around the streets of San Jose, San Pedro, like at any hour of the day. And relatively speaking, for a city, once the sunset, it's like danger zone, for a lot of cities. But for San Jose, I didn't really get that, especially around like the main squares. Like there's things to do all night, all night. Like it doesn't matter what you into. If you into family life, there's things for families to do in the evenings, in the nights, even as far as 12 a.m. in the morning. Like they have like parks and um, like food vendors, and you see families walking together. Fathers, mothers, children walking hand in hand, kids running. Like you see that they have like this huge square area. Families come and they take pictures. They sit down, eat ice cream. You see like parents, playing with their children. It's definitely a beautiful scene just to see. Like one of the things I can say in Costa Rica, they definitely do value like family. And when I say that, speaking in relation to like even some of the weird stuff, like in relation to the alphabet community and stuff like that, because I don't necessarily subscribe to that lifestyle, and I wouldn't want to live like around it, like seeing it face to face, like in that particular region, San Jose, San Pedro, like everything is just mixed. Like you can be walking, you see, the female with the female or the male with the male, like right in front of your face. And so there's really no principle when it comes to that. It's like everything is all inclusive, right? So once again, that's the way they desire to run things. That's to their own wish or their own will. And so for me, even outside of that, you don't really see like there's like you don't really see like an open or blatant shunning of people for who they are or what they choose to subscribe to. Okay, so you see like families, you can see like parents playing with their kids. At the time, right next to them, you see like another pair who may not necessarily be in alignment with divine energy. Okay, so I think I'm going in and out. All right, so um hopefully I should be better now. The connection is choppy. All right, so I may probably have to do a part two, but let me see. The Wi-Fi is really not that great. Yeah, the Wi-Fi is not that great. But if you're able to hear me well, just okay. So all right. Well, let me check this. Hopefully, you all are able to. Maybe that's because I'm not like close to the camera. That's why the audio may sound a little off. But anyway, y'all. So hopefully the sound is a lot better. But anyway, um, okay, so hopefully, like I said, but anyway, so I'm gonna wrap up this live. We're gonna talk about more of the family stuff, um, maybe on another live stream. But definitely, family values is something that is valued over there. Okay, and so overall, I would say my experience in San Jose, San Pedro was a great experience. Would I go back to Costa Rica again? Absolutely, yes. It is a beautiful country. I do not necessarily subscribe to everything that goes on in Costa Rica, but everybody have their niche. Everybody can, get it where you fit in. And I feel like, it's definitely a vibe that some people should experience, maybe once in their lifetime, if possible. I think it's one of the more easier trips. Um, and so it's not really super expensive if you plan way ahead of time. But at the same time, you can definitely have a great time. All right. So once again, you all, thank you guys for joining into this live stream and watching. I do hope that you all enjoy the rest of your night here. Continue to watch, like, share, and subscribe. And as you continue to share the traveling experience this week, um, coming up, at least beginning of this weekend, um, I have some content that's gonna be coming, and so it's gonna be different as I continue my travels because I was only going to share like my international travels, but I feel like there, even within the U.S. as well, there's a lot that I've experienced that as I recycled some of those places that I had not shown before. I'm going to add them into um, these episodes um, in the Kiskea Global YouTube channel. And so just stay tuned for that. Okay. Let's continue to develop this Kiskea Global community as we continue to network with like-minded people. And so in recent times, I haven't really shared much of, I would say, philosophical principles or spiritual principles on Kiskea Global. We're mainly focusing on the traveling, getting you to see the experiences as we travel either in the US or outside the US. But yet and still, there are certain pertinent components within the core values of Kiskea Global Community that, as you all continue to share and support, you will be able to harness and come to an understanding of those principles and partake and be part of this global brand, this global community. Okay. And so, those of you who are continual supporters, thank you for supporting Kiskea Global projects. I definitely appreciate those of you who make the necessary sacrifices in order that we may continue to build forward and continue to harness and grow together and be able to bring that light, to bring life to others no matter where we go. And one of the things that I love about this recent trip to Costa Rica was the people that I was able to meet. I learned a lot about the people there and even got to see certain aspect within my own self that I would not come in alignment to or even mirror or able to see if I did not partake of this journey. And so being able to be a light to others, no matter where we go, that is definitely a continual principle. And so it's not just about coming on the internet and, preaching to the choir, but there's definitely the silent work. And so even in the scriptures, it talks about how you can hear the sound of the wind, but you can't tell where the wind is coming from. And that is the voice of the Spirit, as it were. And so, and many times we're able to continue to do this divine work in a way that it doesn't seem like it because we're having fun. We are enjoying different dynamics of life, but yet and still, we're cultivating this community. We're building this project that as we grow and we look back, we're going to see the end results and be able to rejoice at the end of the day. And so we give all praises to the divine creator and the divine providence and leading and guiding us in this path, on this journey. And so thanks again, you all. And let's continue to build forward. Peace.